All right. Well, breaking news. We just lost another one. Someone we were really passionately in love with. We really loved him. Especially us, the two of us. We really deeply cared about bringing this guy back. But this deal is pretty interesting. So I guess we'll discuss it. We'll also talk about some of the other signings that happened today in the winter meetings. Taijuan Walker is going to the Phillies for a 4-year, $72 million contract. I don't know if it's fully guaranteed or not. We have not seen that yet. Is it? It's fully guaranteed? Okay, cool. This is hilarious. All right, let's get this thing started. For those of you watching the stream right now, like the stream. If you haven't liked the stream already, what the hell are you doing? It's free. Go ahead. Let's talk about Taijuan Walker, shall we? Let's go. That intro music is just too good, man. I'm going to tell you right now. All right. Straight off the bat, how do you feel before I get into my how I feel? Losing Taijuan Walker, a very prized possession to this team the last 2 years. Someone we've supported for a long time. Christopher, what's going on, man? How do you feel, man? This is very tough.
This hurts more than losing Jacob deGrom, in my opinion. This one hurt more. This was our guy. This was the All-Star. Remember, he replaced Jacob deGrom in the All-Star game, so that means a lot. It's a tough loss. I don't know how the Mets can respond. Losing an All-Star, losing a taco salesman is so hard for this franchise and what they're going to do in the future going on forward. Could care literally less. Obviously, I've had MLB Network on all day, watched the draft lottery and all that. And literally, as Heyman was tweeting out the tweet that you all know, he was live on MLB Network saying, "Oh yeah," and then he snuck in before anybody. "Oh yeah, it's a 4-year deal for Taijuan Walker," and I think me and you had the same reaction in bursting into laughter that somebody gave this guy a 4-year deal. And it's not like, okay, it's a 2 + 2. It's an option. Maybe. No, this is 4 years guaranteed for $71 million.
72.
$72 million. As we got another Twitter notification. But
he got the Evan Fournier contract, man.
He got the Evan Fournier contract. 4 years. There's passing.
Good for him.
It's a 2-year deal for Matt Strahm, by the way. But I could care less about Taijuan Walker. The amount of people who are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sad." Have you not watched the last 2 years of this guy? He's a fraud. He'll give you a great first half, and you're thinking, "Damn, this guy's a good pitcher." And then we look in the second half when the games actually matter. When he's not facing the Miami Marlins, the dude is ass. What does he do? And the fact that he was dumb enough to sign with the Phillies to play in that ballpark where he's had some of his worst starts of his career with the Mets, and not just with the Mets, but throughout his career, probably the worst ballpark for him to go pitch in. He got the bag, which good for him. He got paid. I mean, hell, $72 million, and he's guaranteed to get $72 million guaranteed. I could care less that there's better options the Mets could use. But God, the pitching market is ridiculous. The fact that he's getting $18 million a year. What is Bassett, Senga, Taillon, who are all better than him? What is that set up? And obviously, I'm excluding the big Jacob and Verlander because those guys were on the Scherzer path. They were gonna get that type of money. But the pitching market has been outrageous. And if Taijuan Walker's getting 18, Chris Bassett and these guys are sitting at home or at the winter meetings, at least in Taillon's case, being like, hell, my number's gonna start with a 2 if Taijuan is getting 18. So the pitching market, it continues to be overpriced, but good for Taijuan, I guess. Go enjoy tacos and go battle cheesesteaks in Philadelphia.
I think that the pitching market, we all knew that it was going to just keep getting higher and higher. With just how the talent level has gone through in the majors, 18 million. You're giving that to a traditional 4-starter. You're giving that to a 5-starter at best on the free agent market if you're trying to deepen your rotation. I'm obviously more surprised at what the reliever market is now. I'm obviously more shocked at that. We all knew that Edwin Diaz was going to come close to breaking that market, but that is something that I'm very scared to see some of these relievers of what they're actually going to go for, especially with a Mets team that needs a lot of bullpen help over this offseason. One of those targets, Tommy Kahnle, he went back to the Yankees. What is it? 2 years.
11-5. I think it was 11-5. I gotta pull it up as we.
I would have done that. But whatever. I don't know. I mean, he has some injury concerns, obviously.
Strom got more than Kahnle, by the way.
Yeah. So
2 years,
for some
11-5.
reason, this is definitely going to be an interesting market of how it plays out, because we don't know. We haven't really seen any high-profile lefties go off the board yet from the bullpen. One being Mr. Andrew Chafin, who is the top guy. You may be looking at $12 million a year for this guy. I'm not going to lie. Maybe, possibly more.
Yeah. If Matt Strom's making 7.5, it's going to start, and it's going to be a double-digit AAV for Chafin over probably 3 years. It's going to be a familiar type deal.
Maybe more. Maybe more. Yeah.
More, but
I wouldn't be surprised 336, 338. Wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised for Andrew Chafin because of the market that he's on and how he's just there's so little of top tier lefties out there. For those of you in here, we have about 15, 20 of you in here right now. Leave a like on the stream. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the Mets Weekly channel if you're a Mets fan and you like daily Mets content coming in and out, whether it's streams like this or videos or shorts or stuff like that comes out throughout the entire week. So make sure to hit the like button. Also, stay tuned for our inaugural podcast episode. I don't know, big words, whatever. 10:30 at night, who cares? Our premiere episode of our podcast on Sunday that will debut here. We're going to be recording that on Saturday, and then it will be out on Sunday, talking about the weekly rumors and news, and also some other sorts of segments going on. And you can also listen to that on 8 different listening platforms. The link is in the description. So, who else signed today? There was quite a lot. Josh Bell went to Cleveland. That was a option that was talked about with Mets. With the Mets, the last year or so at the trade deadline, even in free agency, it doesn't look like it went as deep. It looks like the Mets were talking about possibly trading for him with the Nationals, but Mike Rizzo wanted to be the prick that he usually is, and that's pretty much all that went there. So Cleveland, a team that did not have that much power going into the postseason, that definitely limited them in the postseason, they got it. And there's another team that I know that had a lot of limited power that really should go do that. We saw that Billy Epler was talking about that they're still going to be looking at the position player market. I'm not really as confident as to when he was actually saying that, because it sounds like just a second thought and an afterthought. But I mean, how do you feel about this market? A lot of these possibilities of position players that the Mets can add to their lineup, a lot of them are disappearing right now, especially these big bats. Also, we'll get into Nimmo as well. But, I mean, how do you feel? Do you think that there's any options out there? Or do they have to just go for a big fish? Or what's out there right now? How should they look at the position player market, since we've kind of gotten a unusual answer from Billy Epler?
Yeah, the Mets aren't going to make a bat move until they're done pitching wise. If once that fifth starter or other third star, whatever you want to call it, once that rotation is kind of set, then maybe you'll start seeing us going for bats. Like the bullpen obviously is another thing they have to go for. So I could see them doing kind of what the Dodgers did with Freddie Freeman, where like Freddie stayed a long while out on the free agent market. Obviously, there was some waiting to see where if Atlanta was going to stay. Atlanta never got to that number. So that he kind of stayed out there. So if maybe there's a Correa, I mean, that one does make sense. I doubt a Swanson, but like if Correa were to like stay on the market long enough and the Mets start filling their holes, I could see them be opportunistic to jump on that. They've made it clear, and I will make it clear in a future video on the channel coming, they're not going to go nuts for the DH because they have their eye on someone coming in the future years. You can figure out who that is. So that's why they want to stay external or maybe a 1-year rental. If they can get a bat on a 1-year deal in like February, somebody just stays down the line, a la kind of the Cody Bellinger stand where it's a 1-year high AAV deal, I think that's the only way they're going to address the DH. That's just a feeling. Obviously, the outfield and center field is a different story, but for obviously just the DH position, which is probably the only position they have open for needing a major upgrade, they're going to stick with Escobar and Beatty at third, Jeff's at second, Canna. We'll see what happens in center field if it's Marte or they maybe sign a corner outfielder. But again, I don't see them being aggressive until after like they start checking off some boxes in the pitching market for them to even get to consideration of signing a bat. We've heard Epler even said that he's had some infield bats. I don't know who the hell that would be for an infield. He was like in the infield market, which maybe that could be Correa down, maybe just doing some due diligence. But again, I don't think you're going to see them interested in bats. I mean, you did see the Benintendi room, but again, that's just if Nimmo were to go, which I do not think Nimmo is going to be close. I think Nimmo probably after Christmas is my guess. Do have someone in my ear that's saying it's probably not going to happen until maybe the new year. That's my guess from what I've my little buddy. He's probably saying probably after Christmas, look more wait to the new year, which the Mets really can't afford to bet out Bellinger off the market. We've seen them linked to Kiermaier. We've seen them linked to Benintendi. Benintendi has a market with the Yankees and the Astros, us themselves, maybe other teams that could pop in. The Dodgers need an outfielder. They made it clear they want to add another outfielder. So those are three big teams that, yes, the Astros have already spent on Abreu, but they still need to fill left field. There are bats that maybe Michael Brantley is a name that could, if the Astros don't pivot back to him, maybe in February, he's a guy you sign on a 1-year deal, can platoon Cannon left field and to do out the DH role. Yes, he doesn't provide you much power, but he's another good hitter. So like those are the kind of guys I do think the Mets might be interested. Again, this is after they start laying some groundwork for the rest of their roster where they can be like tinkering. And we already know with guys under contract what the Mets offense is. This isn't like where you look at the Phillies, they had a clear weakness at shortstop and maybe in the corner outfielders. If Harper now out until maybe the All-Star break with Tommy John surgery. So Harper's bat not being in the lineup, Castellanos and Schwarber can go to the DH. That opens up a corner outfield spot. So the Phillies could have another hole for an outfielder plus obviously shortstop with Sosa and that, crappy utility guy they have. They wouldn't address, but the Mets don't have a position on the field they need to fill. It's besides center field, which we hope and we'll see. But again, with DH, I don't expect it until maybe after the New Year's, maybe even closer to spring training. If there's a bat lingering around, I think that's the only type of bat. Like in Epler said, being opportunistic. They're focusing on pitching as they should. They've got more holes in the pitching side of their team than their offensive team. Would I like them to try to get a utility guy? Yes. But I'm not expecting that until after Christmas, until some of these pitching needs need to get filled. So again, for me, I'm not going to go crazy with bats until probably after Christmas, in my opinion. But, who knows? Maybe they have something up their sleeve and Correa on another like Twins type contract. Maybe that happens. I don't think. I think the Cubs are probably going to go crazy for Correa because they're just in desperate need for any talent middle infielder. So, and there's teams out there that need them. So, but if there's one that maybe hangs around, we're looking after the new year, and not really much news is happening. Maybe Cohen says, "Hey, let's go jump in and then add run producer." What's the word they like? Run efficiency. What the hell is this big key term? Run efficiency, run prevention is pitching, and what's the other one? What's his other crappy phrase? But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, but not so. He likes that like run prevention on the pitching side, and then Epler's got some stupid analytic phrases. But again, I wouldn't expect for the Mets to be
okay
in on a bat. Jose Abreu, I guess, would have been the only one, but with him going off the board fast, I wouldn't expect much.
All right. Well, focusing into Nimmo, we already know that a Scott Boras market is the most complex market you can ever see. It's going to be dragged out. It's going to leave the suitor of the actual team very nervous. And you're taking a big risk going after a Boras client when there's limited options, especially behind that specific Boras client. That's the case for Nimmo. You don't really have many true center field options that can actually do both sides of the ball. So you have, Bellinger, who just left, right? So he's going to Chicago. Benintendi, I don't think he can play center field, and I don't want to see it happen. We also have the internal possibility of Marte moving you have the possibility of Marte moving to center field, which I also don't like, coming off of an injury. Injury riddled season, shall we say, and then also having this core muscle surgery out of nowhere, and kind of puts you into a corner of where you have to bring in Nimmo, or you're going to have to improvise a lot, whether it is through the trade or whether it is moving around the internal pieces, or signing a prove it deal with, guys who have been injured, guys who have been out. We've talked about Michael Conforto, stuff like that. I don't want to go that direction as much as I love Mike. I think at this point they've moved on, especially another Boras client you're putting into that such. I at this point, I think they're just waiting out to see what happens with Nimmo, and I think that's a really dangerous bridge to be on, because you know how much this can drag out with a Boras client. We know that Boras clients can either sign very, very, very early or very, very late. There's absolutely no in between with this. The market is extremely scary, and what you're seeing right now with Brandon Nimmo's market, a lot of teams want him. And it's definitely the market that Boras was so-called selling with Michael Conforto last year. So he's actually getting the actual market that we're expecting. Now, we know that we talked about certain teams being the competitors for our top free agent, known as Jacob deGrom, being the Rangers or the Braves, or there's other teams out there. Who do you think is our biggest competition for Brandon Nimmo?
Obviously, I think the loser of the Judge sweepstakes will probably jump into it as well. Right now, probably Blue Jays are the biggest main focus for it. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle's sniffing away, but I do think they're trying to trade for Brian Reynolds now. I think there might be...
John, I'll answer your question in a second. I'll just let him finish.
Yeah. Seattle's looming. I think they're more focused on maybe trading for Brian Reynolds. Like, they've already moved Kelnick. They'll move Kelnick in that deal to move Reynolds in left field. But Toronto's the biggest thing, again, pretty much the loser of the Judge sweepstakes. So either the Yankees or Giants. Whoever doesn't get Judge will probably easily pivot. But also, if the Yankees have already made it clear they're interested in Brian Reynolds. So it's just kind of to the extent of the Blue Jays seem to be the favorite outside of the Mets. But I could see, the mystery team can always pop off. Am I terrified? Maybe the Braves could jump in because their corner outfield, with Acuna and Harris, their left field potential position is always available. And the Braves, they're just like, oh, they don't need that. Boom, their stupid press release, and they could sign them. But I do think Toronto's another team is the Orioles, because they are interested in adding an outfielder, and the Orioles are trying to contend, which is another team that, again, kind of like in that Seattle, where they're just kind of maybe looming around and they want to spend some money. They're interested in the shortstops. They're interested in Jameson Taillon. So it looks like they have some money to throw around, which maybe, they do have Cedric Mullins, maybe move Mullins to left. And then Nimmo can play in center field, is a bigger center field. So having some more speed and athleticism for Baltimore. But again, I think the media is trying to tell the Mets that they're out of it, but I don't think there might be a lot of teams interested, maybe even the Padres. They're interested in everybody, and maybe there could be a trade partnership with the Mets and Padres if that were to happen. There's some other guys if Mets do not get Nimmo. I'm putting a list together of guys who potentially could, besides the Kiermaier option now and Reynolds, which Reynolds really isn't a center fielder anymore. He's more of a corner. But the Blue Jays are the scary team. I still have a feeling he's back with New York on probably a 7-year, $157 million deal would be my guess. I think the Mets might have to give him the extra year, which I don't love giving term, but I do think the Mets need to realize that if you don't sign him and you don't go to that extra level, what is your backup plan? And it's not better than Brandon Nimmo unless you're trading for George Springer, Mike Trout, Lou Bob. That's about it. So that's not happening. I don't think so. Lou Bob being maybe the biggest maybe on that list, but that's even a maybe. So I think that at the end of the day, I think the Mets are playing it cautiously optimistic, like, we're not going. But we're seeing Epler saying, and we saw it with the Grom too, and there's still conversations with them. But I do think if they actually get the chance to match it, thanks Jacob. I do think the Mets will pony up for Nimmo because of the importance of if he's not here, who is your other option? So I do think down the line, I think he's going to get 7. I know the rumor is 6, but I do think he will get a 7th year from somebody. The Mets might have to be that team to match it if somebody does give him that 7-year deal. Because we've said, what is your backup plan? You're going to take a major downgrade if you don't bring this guy in. And he's the type of guy, you give him a 7-year deal. Obviously, there's risk with the injury history, but he does with everybody. He's the type of guy you could give that year to. One, it's a position player, which we've made it clear, they're not going to give term to pitchers. You can do that. The AAV is probably north of $25 million, so you're looking at a big, sizable contract to lock in before you're extending McNeil's. If you want to do that, if you want to do Alonso, any other additions you want to bring in. So I think Epler has been playing this coy. I do think this gets done in the Mets' favor. Toronto, I think, is the biggest threat. Seattle and Baltimore are my two sneaky, just hanging around teams where it's like if they strike, I wouldn't be surprised if those two teams strike.
Another team, obviously, the local boy himself, the Rockies. There's been talk about him. The Rockies like him, but they give stupid deals out sometimes, and it's,
They've made that clear. There was a report came out today. They're not as in. They are trusting Zach Veen. They'll give it to him on a shorter term deal.
They're trusting Zach Veen.
Okay. They're trusting Zach Big Peen Veen.
I'm trusting him too. I love the guy, but
yeah, they've made it clear that the Rockies don't want to go long term because of Zach Veen. But it's obviously a factor. But I think the Rockies beat reporter kind of made that like they're in, but they're not really in on Nimmo. That's just because they do trust Zach.
There's interest. I'm sure there is. I think there is mutual interest there, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere deep. They've set up the possibility where they can give a long-term contract, and they still haven't done that outside of Lindor. Lindor has been like just the base of a long-term deal. Every deal that is completely signed is short-term. The longest after that is 4 years for Marte. And although the back end of that contract probably won't look the best, especially if you're going to move him to center field, if you lose Nimmo, I'm 100% okay with giving Nimmo 7 years. I really am. And I'm going to tell you right now is because of the books of how they look right now for the Mets. We know how they look long term. And one thing I can say is that, again, there's just not really that many options out there. There just really isn't. And you're going to take such a risk on a team that needs bats. They need offense. Like it's a team, it's a roster that does not look good on its 26-man roster right now. You need to make some, whether it's upgrades or additions or whatever you need to do, you're gonna be in some deep shit if you wait out this Nimmo market and a lot of these guys completely come off. So you're making a risk here if you want to keep Nimmo, but I definitely think it's something that you really should do. I think Nimmo should be the priority here, especially with Jake gone. So Diaz signed. They talked about these guys being their priority. We haven't really heard much of Nimmo. We've heard a little bit more, obviously, as the winter meetings have gone. We saw something about how the Mets don't plan to meet with Nimmo during the winter meetings. I think a lot of people are panicking about that, but it's also a deal of where I don't think this gets done by the winter meetings. I don't think this gets done at all, like, a week after or 2 weeks after. It's going to drag out a little bit. So as for what was the other thing that I wanted to bring up? Now, as for what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Okay, no, Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney going to Texas. We saw that the Mets had some interest in him there. I made a short about Jameson Taillon. If you guys haven't seen that, that's on our TikTok, and it's also on our YouTube Shorts. Just basically breaking down what you're getting from him and the type of value you can get from him, which I think is pretty much turned upside down now that what with Taijuan Walker just got. So you're going to probably have to overpay for him to be in the back end of your rotation. So how do you feel about Jameson Taillon? So I made my remarks on it. Jameson Taillon, do you think they have to add something else along with him and he should be the 4? Could he be the 3? How do you feel about Jameson Taillon? Do you think that this could be a move that the Mets should pursue to replace a lot of these guys in the back end of the rotation, especially if they're not getting Bassett back?
Yeah. Why do I have a feeling that this new Taijuan contract will probably force the Mets to make a trade for the number 3? I don't think that they're going to go $20 million north for Jameson Taillon. I don't even.
Okay.
I think they might for Senga because I think they believe. But again, that's another risk of $20 million over. Reportedly now he's got a 5 or 6 year offer. So I do think they're going to do what they did with Bass. I think they're going to try to add a 4 or a 5. Maybe that quality like levels of like Jose Quintana level, and then pivot to the trade market. And Epler's already said that maybe there will be ways that he'll pivot to the trade market. Who are those names? Anyone in the Twins, anyone on Cleveland, kind of like the Cal Quantrells, the Zach Plesac's of the world. Maybe, again, if they're going mainstream, which I doubt, Peralta, Burns, Woodruff, because at least those guys who have 2 years of making lower than Taijuan Walker because of arbitration, and you have 2 years of control with the 2 years of Verlander and Scherzer, everybody's off the books. But I just have a feeling they're going to do what they did with Bassett, where free agent market was just ridiculous. They struck out they haven't struck out yet, but I just think why give $20 million to a guy who's not going to be worth it if you don't, fully believe in the player, which I guess they do believe in Taijuan and Jameson Taillon, maybe, but we don't know what the asking price was. Everyone said he was going to get north of the John Gray, which is 4 years at $56 million. Taijuan beat that. So now Taijuan set the precedent. Like, even though if you look at the numbers, the simple numbers, Walker had better numbers. Taillon's the better pitcher. So he can play it, and he has great numbers in the American League East, which is one of the best offensive, frenzy divisions. A 3.39 or 3.9, I forgot what it is exactly. I think it's 3.9 compared to Taijuan's 3.2. Jameson Taillon has a better yard in a harder division. And if you're just looking strictly on ERA, you can go analytics, whatever. I'm just saying look at the basic numbers there. I just don't think that they're going to give $20 million to a guy who isn't an ace, who isn't like, he's a number 3. Like, he's a quality number 4. He's a number 3 starter, but you're like, are you putting him, like, he's not better than Bassett? Like, I'd put him below Bassett. Like, I have Bassett, Senga, and then Taillon and everybody else, and like even Shaw Mania to an extent. But I just think I have a feeling that they're going to do what they did with Bassett again. They're going to find a guy. And also, another thing, you're losing, like we've made it clear, we did with Stroman, now with Bassett, you're losing a guy who's going to do 170 innings in your number 3, and Bassett was 180 innings this year. You're losing that again. You're losing your innings-eating guaranteed guy. You're going to replace it with Taijuan. Yes, he's been healthy the last 2 years, but historically isn't the most healthy pitcher. Yes, he had 177 innings last year, which was good. You got to trust that. Like, I do like, and I wouldn't be mad if they do sign Jameson Taillon. I want him as, compared to like Bassett. I wouldn't mind Bassett. I've kind of turned on Bassett, but if he's back as a number 3, I'd be fine. But I just have a feeling that they're going to just pivot to the trade market because these prices are just, one, if they want to continue to add bullpen arms, which, we made the bullpen market is absorbent. We're only $1 million under the Cohen tax, so we're going to blow through it. But how nuts are they going to go? So I do think the Mets might be just going to a situation to say, hey, can we get a guy on arbitration, maybe with 2 years of team control? We'll give up one of our God's children, Ronnie Mauricio or Ventos or Matt Allen or whoever, give us some prospects, maybe even major leaguers, maybe clearing out some money to move under that tax, to move and add maybe in that trade or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do sign Taillon or Senga, but I wouldn't be surprised if that number 3 starter is currently on a different team.
So what teams do you, you look at the trade market right now, you have a few teams that it looks like they're going to possibly blow it up. We have some possibility of guys that could be on the market. Now, let's ask this. We all know that the Brewers are selling pieces, and we know that we've talked about this before. Corbin Burns. Brandon Woodruff is more of a number 3 type of pitcher. What do you think the market would be for him? What are you going to have to bring up? I'm full on, the Brewers call you say, what could you give us for Brandon Woodruff? Because we know you want a 3 starter. What do you think that is going to cost? You're muted. You're muted.
I'm muted. So I spoiled the video, which is good. Both Woodruff and Burns are both free agents in 2025. So you've got this year and you have next year before they are free agents. I don't even think...
And we don't want a rental.
We don't want a
rental.
We
don't want a rental.
A la Christopher waiting for his Darren Ruff jersey. They don't want a rental. And I don't even think... Yes, everybody's thinking in the sexy names of Bauer. Wow. Burns, Woodruff, even Peralta. I was thinking more that they might go for an Adrian Hauser, an Aaron Ashby level if they're going to try to find a 4 that won't cost an arm and a leg because, again, Epler showed he doesn't want to move the big guys. Could you find an Adrian Hauser and turn an Aaron Ashby with Hefner? Could you turn him into a quality number 3, a high 4, low end 3 pitcher? Which, he had a solid year. Those guys had solid years last year. Could they maybe take another step with Hefner? Besides, yes, could you talk about Woodruff and can you talk about Burns of Peralta? Yeah. Can you talk about the Guardians guys? Cleveland would always move money, even though they paid $30 million to Josh Bell. Notoriously they would move money. And Bieber coming up. Not saying they move for Bieber now, but they have some pieces in Cleveland that maybe they move. Maybe Minnesota. They have some arms there potentially you could move. So there's teams that go out there and will make moves. The Reds really don't. They're not going to move. The Reds rotation is pretty young. But again, if you're going to move it just depends how desperate. Do you want to make the super rotation, have 3 legit aces with Verlander, Scherzer, and then go out and get Burns? You're going out and get Burns or Woodruff. It's going to cost you everything. Unless you want to go, but also you have 2 years of control, probably south of what Taijuan Walker's making right now. So what do you control of, hey, by the time both of those guys are free agents, your 2 huge money deals are up. And that's also the Soto offseason as well. But it just depends. I want them to go out and get Salty. You could have that dude for a box. I would have given him up for a box of cookies. Goodbye. We ain't Salty at all. We have a meme ready to go in the damn chat if you want. We are not salty at all. You guys can have that BP thrower. We are elated. But besides the point, Burns and Woodruff are obviously going to be talked about. Maybe even in Oakland, maybe a Paul Blackburn could be another name potentially thrown in that conversation of being in 3 or 4 for the Mets. A's are blowing it up. What the hell do they need him for? I doubt they would move. Who's the lefty? Cole Irvin. Who's the lefty they have out there?
Cole Irvin is kind of.
I'm just thinking.
Well, I mean, they have the young guys, Karinchak,
and Waldichuk and
Waldichuk, Karinchak, JP Sears. Who's the other guy? Luis Medina.
Yeah.
The A's actually did make a signing today. Did you see they got Jace Peterson?
I did see
huge.
They gave him a multi-year deal too. They gave him a multi-year deal.
That's incredible. Huge, man. Huge.
And the Diamondbacks, I've seen people talk about Zach Allen. I doubt it. They're looking like they're going to try to spend. They're in the Bogarts conversation. They're trying to be a better team than blowing it up. Another name, Tyler Glasnow, which when the Rays and Mets were linked. Oh, Mets, every stupid Mets Twitter account. Not going to name out one, but maybe the worst one of them all. Oh, Glasnow to the Mets, guaranteed. Like, no, why would the Rays actually paid him money? Like, they're not going to trade him. They paid him to keep him. But maybe, again, the Rays are always listening. So maybe you can get Drew Rasmussen, another name. Maybe, again, the Rays are always a team you look at. That they're like, anyone you don't think is available for the right price with Tampa, they would be available. So the Mets have plenty of options free agent-wise. There are people on the trade market that could be available. But it just, again... Also, the Mets are going to be desperate. Teams are going to see the desperation if they don't go out and sign a Taijuan, Senga, bring back Bassett. They're going to see him and they're going to try to pounce on that. But again, the Mets have options. It's not going to, and this is the other thing. Mets fans want everything done right now. Spring training isn't for another 2.5 months. Like, I get it's been a slower offseason, but this is
Epler already failed. So
Epler's already failed. He let Adonis Medina sign with Korea and then get signed to the Brewers. So, the season's over. But, again.
All right, so going back to John.
Yeah, go back
Let's talk about Taijuan Walker. For the Phillies fans in here who don't know who this guy is, he was a former top 10 prospect in the majors, right?
Phillies fans should know who Taijuan Walker is. He's the guy that started that major collapse that you guys whooped his ass, scored 7 runs in on him in the first inning, and then your bullpen blew it, the Mets won it. But, you should know, you guys have hit Taijuan Walker like a foster child.
All right, here's the deal with Taijuan Walker. He has multiple weapons. None of them are good. His fastball is completely feeble. He has one good pitch, which is his splitter. When he prioritizes that along with his sinker, he can be a decent number 5. As for him, just full-on confidence-wise, he's a very vulnerable pitcher, allows a lot of hard contact, and he just can be a very frustrating pitcher. Misses a lot of spots, with his stuff not being as sharp as people expect it to be, gives up a lot of long balls. He's definitely very frustrating. He may give you a good, decent back into the rotation stat line here and there, but he can be extremely frustrating. His pitch selection is not good. He may induce somewhat of soft contact when he's right, but when he is full on just not there, which is a lot, it's batting practice season. He can be a very frustrating player. The thing about him is that you don't trust him. You can't really trust him. He'll give you some good starts, but overall, this guy is not trustworthy down the stretch of the season. He has proven that he hasn't been. He just doesn't come through when you need him to. When you have injuries at the top of your rotation, and I'll tell you right now, Aaron Nola is a year older. He's going into his 30s. Zach Wheeler's older than Aaron Nola, which a lot of people don't know. Zach Wheeler's had some injury history. He had a lot of injuries this year. When you have the back end of that rotation Taijuan Walker is definitely not somebody that you can rely on down the stretch of the season if you have injuries at the top of your rotation. I think JT will help him reach his potential. Yeah, I don't know about that. I can tell you right now, I think that he's definitely identified as the pitcher that he is, and I don't think he's going to change because he's shown that he can't really change. And one thing I will say is that he already had one of the best catchers in James McCann behind the plate. So there's really nothing that you can do. He's pretty much a complete lost cause. He's a good back end guy when he's there, but I can tell you right now, I'm not going to miss him at all. And I can tell you right now, we are not salty whatsoever because we have shit on him for a long, long, long time. We are not very fond of Taijuan Walker. He frustrates the living hell out of us. And yeah, I'm not missing that at all.
I'll
so
say
have fun with him, Philly.
Yeah.
Have fun. Go ahead.
I'll say one nice thing about him. He's better than Kyle Gibson. That's the only
Sure.
thing. He's better than Kyle Gibson, so it's an upgrade. But like, I mean, it's a 4 or 5 starter. Like no. He's literally just holding Andrew Painter's spot. That's literally all he's there for. Because he'll give you the good first, like we said, he'll be elite in the first half, and you're thinking, this guy's great. Go look at his numbers in the second half. Just go take a peek.
When you need him to be there, he's not there.
He does dominate the Marlins. He does do that. He does dominate the Marlins. So you get him 10 times, maybe he gets 2 starts against the Marlins, he'll look great. Everybody else.
Are the Mets going to make any moves out? Yes.
Yeah.
They're going to make more moves outside of... Again, if you were asking this question in February, I'd be a lot more worried.
Yes, then we can...
I'd be a lot more worried. But again,
3 months.
3 months. We're good.
Like,
most fans didn't like Taijuan. He blows game.
Thank you. He's not that good.
Well, here's my problem with Taijuan. I think we all know what my problem with Taijuan is. Mr. Excuses.
Yep, that's the other thing. He'll fit right in Philly. Makes excuses.
Mr. Excuses.
You're gonna love that.
Listen, I don't like this guy's attitude. I really don't think he's serious about what he's doing. Whenever he has a bad start, there's always an injury. There's always a little tweak. There's always a little this wasn't right. I didn't have my nice shoes on. Listen, injuries happen to pitchers. It always does. But if you're not 100% when you take the mound, or when you're not 100% in the 3rd inning when you get out there, or in the 4th inning when you get out there, get out of the game. Don't make it worse for yourself. That's just stupidity at this point. And I'm sorry. I don't want to deal with that. I don't think that this guy's serious at all. I'll tell you right now. This is not like losing Zach Wheeler. I can tell you right now. At all. I'll admit and miss Wheeler. I wanted to bring back Wheeler too. I did.
Yeah.
I did want to bring back Wheeler. But I think we all knew the writing on the wall. Because with Wheeler, and this is obviously years ago, this is water under the bridge at this point, but Brodie Van Wagenen pretty much showed that Stroman was Wheeler's replacement. And when that did happen, we all didn't know why you didn't trade Wheeler. And they didn't trade Wheeler. So they really didn't get anything for him. The same amount of AAV that the Phillies gave him, we spent on Rick Porcello and Michael Wacha for 60 games. So, yeah, it was not smart to let Wheeler go, especially with what you're seeing on the market right now, what starting pitchers are getting. Zach Wheeler is getting a solid number 2 starter or a solid number 3 starter type of money right now. So that definitely blew up in their face, and they should have kept Wheeler. I liked Wheeler. I just wanted to see him stay healthy. I understood a little bit at the beginning where I was like, okay, he hasn't really pitched a full season. Maybe he isn't fully worth that contract. But we all knew the capacity of what Wheeler could become. Not one of the best pitchers. I wouldn't say I was expecting him to be one of the best pitchers in baseball, but I was expecting him to be a solid number 2 starter. behind DeGrom if they did bring him back. So
His
Wheeler should
contract
be
is
here, obviously.
weird.
Definitely.
And his deal is like so weird where it's like he got paid 21 and 22, then 26. This year it's gonna be 24, and the next year it's 23. So it's like there wasn't a hard number. It's like this guy like I mean, it's a weird contract.
It's gonna go exactly, and it's gonna continue to go up. That market is gonna continue to go, especially when you have a lot of these pitchers being represented by Scott Boras. I can tell you right now, it's gonna go up, and it just makes the Mets not re-signing Wheeler look even stupider. I can tell you right now.
Can I throw a hypothetical?
Water under the bridge happened 2 years ago.
Can I throw a hypothetical out here? Wheeler's a free agent in 2 years. Take a guess what age he's at. 35. Does he get a DeGrom contract from Texas and he's a free agent?
Maybe the team that drafted him, the Giants, get him or something. Maybe something like that.
I mean,
speaking of old guys, are the Phillies ever going to? Speaking of old guys, are the Phillies ever gonna get a better reliever than David Robertson? I mean, you can always bring back Brad Hand. He's a 3-time All-Star, bro. And Jameson Taillon is gonna get the same deal as Walker. And Walker is the better pitcher, in my opinion.
I mean, that's your opinion. You know, that's, and you're probably a Phillies fan.
No, but it's the wrong opinion, and I will shame you for it. No, I don't care, man. If you think he's right, I mean, they are in the same boat of back end of starters. Like the pool of back end starters is pretty big now because you have your aces and then your borderline aces and then basically the back end of the rotation and then your prove it deals or whatever right below there. It's a big pool, you know, like in where this market is.
Ridiculous.
You know, Bassett and Walker are probably in the same tier right now. That's just how it is. So that's just, you know, it was a lot different a few years ago, but like, you know, right now, it's going to be interesting. I can tell you right now. I'm interested to see where Bassett goes if it's not with the Mets. We haven't really seen much besides like a report of, well, they're interested in bringing him back. It's kind of like in the same level of what we're seeing. Oh, the Mets want to bring back Adam Ottavino. We want to bring back this guy. They want to bring back that guy. But yeah, if I'm the Mets, I would do anything to get Senga and Nimmo. Senga's a risk. Obviously, we haven't seen him pitch in the MLB. Another thing that people don't realize is that the baseballs are very different in Japan. So you could see a tick down of velocity if he comes down here. And from what I'm seeing from Senga, I will have a video on him probably next week if he does not sign, basically doing a rundown of how he would fit in the Mets rotation, you know, what to expect with him. I know other videos have been made about him, but I do want to, you know, put my 2 cents in it because I haven't really gone fully deep into him. I've looked at his arsenal a little bit, but I haven't really gone a full study session on this guy. But his fastball, it seems like he's very reliant on his fastball. And if, you know, there's something, if he doesn't have that extra tick of velocity, especially with his secondary stuff that needs some work, maybe he could be in trouble. I don't know, but we don't know. Again, we don't know. There was some concerns about, you know, the fastball and breaking stuff with Masahiro Tanaka. He turned out pretty well. So you never know. You never know.
Name any other, you know, Japanese import. Especially the bats lately, if not like the guy from the Reds.
All right, there's about 40 people in here. For those of you who have not yet liked the stream, it's greatly appreciated. It's free. It doesn't cost a thing. You can subscribe if you're a Mets fan for daily content about the Mets. Episode 1 of our podcast will be out on Sunday around 2-3 o'clock, around there. We're going to be talking about some the weekly news in Mets land. The 4 of us, me, this guy on the right of the screen, and then we also have Frank and Tony, who are very old people. Kwang Hung Kim and Hyunjin Ryu were pretty good import. Yeah. So it's a hit or miss. It really is. You have some guys who come from Japan who adjust very well to this league, and you have some who don't, and they just fade really quickly. Some guys have a good long career. Some just have one glimpse of it. They have their their one hit wonder, their one stretch of whatever.
Yep.
And some don't. We saw Yusi Kikuchi. But he had that one Taijuan Walker All-Star first half and whatever, and he got paid for it, and now he has not been good. Hyunjin Ryu is another one. He's just been really riddled with injuries, but when he was healthy, he has been a very good pitcher. Kenta Maeda is another one. And then, of course, like the big headliner of Shohei Ohtani.
But that's not the same. Yeah, he's
but
not
that's a different thing. But we all know the GM that brought him in.
Hope Walker's better than Familia.
Hope Walker is better than Familia. I mean, Walker's not a reliever. If he was a reliever, you're in bigger trouble than you were with Familia. Kopian out the wazoo. I'm going to tell you, if you want to go back to any of our videos, we don't like this guy. We are not a big fan of Taijuan Walker.
There's a specific one we go back. Let's start a final.
We're not here to bullshit. All right, it's brutal honesty is something that we really capitalize here. So I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no coping mechanism. Have fun with Taijuan Walker. I'm like just.
Should I link the grade video or just shit on him? That's a good one. The grade one, right? The second half grade.
I don't know. I'm not sure. The first half one, I guess. I don't know. No. I mean, listen. Classic trash talk between two fan bases. It never gets old. I mean, as long as you keep it fresh, it's all good. Kiermaier, Benintendi, and Will Myers should be signed by the Mets if Nimmo signs elsewhere. I'd take Benintendi. I'd take Will Myers. Kiermaier is like one of those last resort guys. If he's your fourth outfielder, maybe your fifth outfielder at this point, and maybe you get somebody that can play the infield and outfield as your fourth outfielder, along with obviously you have Jeff McNeil, but he's not going to come off the bench. He's going to be starting every day. But, getting one of those infield, outfield type of guys, the Chad Pinders of the world or somebody like that.
What's a name
infield out?
Yeah, what's a name I've been just thinking about?
Are we thinking the same name?
Out west?
No, we're not.
Jerkson Profar.
Not bad. Not a bad possibility, but he did have a good year. He might get. He might get probably like north of $12 million a year, but that's a guy who literally could play infield, outfield. According to Eduardo Perez made this great play defensively, diving for a ball in the wild card game. But again, a guy who potentially plays everywhere. He has played center field, played the corner, switch hitter. As a name, I'm thinking potentially, maybe a name. Was the Turner smart move for the Phillies? Okay.
It will be good the first half. The back half.
I will tell you right now. And like I said, we don't bullshit here.
Yeah.
The Phillies made a really nice move there. They really did. $27 million a year for a 6-win player, like annual 5 to 6 win player or whatever. I mean, I joke about Turner sucking because he's one of your favorite players to just troll the crap out of you, but he is good. I'll tell you right now. It pisses me off that he's back in the NL East because he destroyed the Mets when he was on the Nationals. But I will say, whoever gets Judge, we'll see what happens with that. We thought that there was going to be a destination. John Heyman jumped the gun. John Heyman having his fourth drink of the afternoon.
He was Yankee
at the San Diego bar.
Were just beautiful. We got here. Predictions for the Mets and Phillies win total. We have a large gap. I don't think it's as. I think again we're gonna have 3 teams making the playoffs, and out of the NL East.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Braves win 100 and then both of us win 90 games, 90 plus games. I wouldn't be surprised. I hope the Mets don't take the regular season as crazy as they were. Let the Braves have the division title. Just how I'm looking at it, just get in. I don't really care if it's a wild card spot or the division. So if that means not burning yourself out like we did trying to win that damn division, just get in. So like if it means winning, like the Phillies win 86 games and you're not burnt out going into October, I'll take that. For me, the winning 100 games now, especially, just get in the playoffs. If the Phillies win 95, the Mets win 93, and the Braves win 103, all three of us in the playoffs, I think that's what's going to happen. Because, again, you think of teams who are in the playoffs, it's still probably going to be the same 7 teams. Maybe the Giants, but do you see the Giants better than the Phillies and the Mets? Even if they sign Judge? No? Like, I don't see it.
I mean,
it'll be the same.
Here's one I will say. Mets, Phillies, Braves. I think it's either the Mets or the Phillies. One of those teams is going to underperform because that's something that we've seen throughout these years of, the NL East, everyone's competing here. You usually have one team that underperforms. Yeah. Usually it's the Mets. First time tuning in? Awesome. Welcome to Mets Weekly. But for one thing I will say, does Eovaldi have a qualifying offer attached to him? He does. He does have one. And I'm not like, okay, if they do sign Eovaldi, they get a draft pick for Bassett. Right?
Yes, technically yes.
Yeah.
But it would be a low. You would have to give up the higher.
It would be lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the Mets, because they've spent so much money, if they do sign a qualifying offer guy, they lose international pool money. They lose a bunch of crap if they sign a qualifying. It's international pool money, obviously moving down 10 spots in the draft, which we didn't want to do last year. Like the Mets, if they sign a guy with a qualifying offer, are going to get burnt. So I don't, as much as I would love them to go out and get Eovaldi, because I do like Eovaldi better than Taijuan. Even maybe him and Bassett for me are on the same level, but I would have loved Nathan Eovaldi. But with him with that qualifying offer, I don't think that takes the Mets out of that.
We do have one for Jake. We do have one for Jake.
We got one for Jake. We got one for Nim. We got one for Bassett.
Yeah. So we're guaranteed one for Jake, obviously. The one thing I would say is that it's probably the reason why Chris Bassett's market is kind of slow right now. Obviously, the qualifying offer.
Yeah, because I think they were talking about him on MLB Network.
Talking about a multi-year deal too.
I mean, he wants a 4+ years, and I think he wants his market. He kind of wants to see what the rest of the free agents go. Either Taijuan, let these other guys fill out, and see where what teams are left and who needs them. What is your ideal finish?
Okay, so to finish free agency, the top of my list, obviously, I'm thinking about the bullpen because the bullpen worries me right now. Andrew Chafin, that's got to be one of the guys that they get. It's going to be an overpay, but we don't know what is going to happen. I have a few guys I would love to take a somewhat bet on who had good years or some success in the past, but looking to bounce back. Guys like that in the bullpen, that's what you want. They're just very finicky, and you just try to predict what you can do with them and what type of success that you can have. Take a flyer on Zach Britton. I don't know. I don't know about that. It's like
depending on how
him
much.
And Chad Green are the ones that I'm like, I don't know about that. I really, I don't know. Again, like these guys past the mid-30s. But yeah, I don't know.
If it's cheap, yes, but if you're actually talking and especially in this market,
thoughts on Wardy NYM? Wardy's the man. Wardy's the man. Yeah, he's awesome.
Ooh, Feinstein just dropped something. A number of teams are serious, interested in Kodai Senga. Source says the Mets are among the highest on him. No posting fee, no draft pick compensation. Win now team joining a rotation of Verlander and Scherzer. So the Mets are aggressive on Senga.
All right, may have to get that video out a lot quicker. Okay.
God, that's going to be
How do I feel about Verlander? I'm still hurting a little bit from Jake. So I mean, Jake meant a lot to me. So it really kind of sucked. But you know what?
Dude, Matt
just
Murray's
came off the Cy Young, had a great recovery from Tommy John surgery. He's aged pretty well so far, but he's going into that 40-year season. I don't know how long he's going to keep it up, but if he does keep it up, I wouldn't be surprised. Reunited with one of his teammates in Max Scherzer and James McCann.
Also,
yeah,
a little thing that I don't think people are realizing that, like, obviously it's the money. Those two guys are battling for the most strikeouts in MLB history. I think aren't they like 1-2?
They
like
are
strikeout leader. So there's a competition.
We can have a live board. Live board. That'd be awesome. Chances we get Devers.
Thought about, like, it's like, oh, Verlander's got his World Series win and Scherzer both got paid. I think both of them want that record. So maybe if it's just a little thing to like get a competition going between the two. Obviously, trying to win here, but besides the point, maybe there's maybe a little easier drive for those two guys. But Senga might actually
chances we get Devers and what it would probably take. I think if they go up, what the hell's going on here?
It's just me.
I think if they go up to say that they're listening to offers, I think it's possible, but Beatty's gone.
Yeah,
Beatty's gone.
You're moving Beatty and probably Alex.
You're moving Beatty and probably Mauricio as well. So
just wait a year. Just wait a year if you want Devers.
Yeah, I would wait. This is a good free agent class, but next year.
Well, next year's third baseman. You don't have shortstops in the class. Next year,
next year it's not bad. So the Mets are the highest on Kodai Senja. That's cool. Nice.
But it's probably gonna be a 6-year deal.
Senga's a fine risk. Senga he can go either way. He has the highest ceiling of him. This is we're talking about a frontline starting pitcher. The lowest is a quality reliever, maybe, or maybe he just flames out. Who knows? But I think that the gap is very big for this guy. Obviously, coming over from Japan to the United States, it's a lot different.
Yep.
What are your feelings on going after a reliever like Andrew Chafin? Whatever it takes. Get him. We love Andrew Chafin. The guy on the right kind of looks like him without a beard or whatever.
When I've got the mustache going full, I look like Andrew Chafin with the hair, everything grown out.
Andrew Painter's a stud.
Andrew Painter is a stud. Do not ruin that kid. I mean, please, as a Mets fan,
don't screw him up.
As a Mets fan, ruin him. But as a prospect guy that I am, do not ruin that kid.
What did SNY have Walker at?
50,
what was it?
I think it was the John Gray contract. I think it was $54 million.
Wasn't it like it was 5 years, $70 million or something?
No,
something like that.
I think it was pretty much like an exact copy of the what's it called? What's your dream starting rotation for the Mets? When you have the big two, I'd like Senga. I'd risk Senga. Maybe trade for an Ashby or a Hauser for the 4, and then figure out the 5th spot with.
Well, Tony's still with us. Tony's still part of our group. He will be on our podcast. Yep. Mets fans only. He's off doing his own thing. We kind of just carried off the torch afterwards. We talked to him about carrying it out, and now we're kind of running this type of stuff.
He's kicking ass on YouTube.
But yeah, he has his own wrestling thing. What is it?
All Elite Mike.
All Elite Mike or something. Yeah. So guys, go. If you guys remember us from those days, go ahead and support him. Nothing but love for him. But yeah, TonyMetro is still with us. We could probably go wake him up right now, right? Trey Turner's fun to watch. Hell yeah. Not when he's playing your team, though.
Would you trade for Aaron Loop?
No.
Unless
I'm not trading anything for a reliever.
Well, there's only one reliever I would trade for, but which we can talk about, I guess, before we hop out. But I get the desperation for a lefty. If you have Chafin there, just spend the money for Aaron. And I get he'd be cheaper. He's definitely going to be cheaper if you want to retry Loop. And also, do we want to keep doing these retreads? Like bringing a guy who did have success that 1 year, and we said it back then when he was a free agent. Me and him were like, everyone, he had half the group saying, "Oh, he has to be re-signed," and then me and Metsfan were like, "We're not giving a multi-year deal to a reliever."
Yeah,
and I hate that we're probably going to have to give a multi-year deal to Chafin, but that's just what the market's telling us, and that's what it's going to cost. And as much as they don't want to make David Peterson a damn reliever, then you have to go out and get it.
Like, listen, Loop was dominant as a Met, but like you didn't really see long-term dominance with him. So if you could let him go, and they did. They did let him walk. So now a guy like Diaz, that's the type of guy you break out the multi-year deal for. Different story, obviously. Any podcast that had diverse respect among baseball.
Let's see how Philly. Oh, again, if Philly fans are happy now. Just we'll see him in the second half. He'll have a good. Again, we're making this clear. He will probably have a very good first half of the season.
I think from all aspects, there is a possibility that you're going to get very frustrated with him. I'm just going to say
he's not fun to watch. He has some. Again, when you play the Marlins, he will dominate the Marlins. He does that. He's like the one team that he is Jacob deGrom against the Marlins.
The old man is 100% asleep. He's still with us. 4 of us, me, him, Tony, Frank. And if you guys want to see the
old man is
the podcast, that Tatis contract is awful. Yeah, it's looking bad.
If Tatis does get another accident. It depends what kind of accident. I think they can get out of the contract if he gets into like another, because MLB players have rules that you cannot do under big league contract, or a set of rules you cannot do. Or
listen, I'm not really worried about competing for a shortstop on the market now. So
I mean, okay, we need a center fielder.
No,
I dumped the farm for him.
Enough with the out of position crap. Okay,
we
saw Daniel Murphy play the outfield. It's enough, okay? No more.
You don't want to see those drop pop-ups, okay? Man? You don't want to see those drop pop-ups?
Oh, my God.
Should get Dude, Broads is... I love... Again, I do love Broads' media. Broads is funny. We actually rated one of his... I think on the game that we blew, that the collapse in the 9th inning, I had people go into Broads' chat and rate him. It was funny. I love Broad. Broad's a good guy. He's one of the couple of Philly fans that actually I do enjoy listening to his stuff. What else we got
here? Matt Strom. He can be.
He's got good hair.
He's got good hair. Decent stuff. Nothing too crazy.
Better than Brad.
But he's more of a lefty type of guy, like a matchup type of guy. I don't know about giving him a 2-year deal, but the reliever market's completely busted after Diaz got $102 million. So. Judge with the Mets.
Better version of Brad Hand. Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it. He's better.
Everyone's a better version.
Everybody's better than Brad Hand, but Judge with the Mets. Yeah, unless Cohen's pulling some bullshit last second. No, I'd love it, but no. What was the question about like other options with Nemo? I do think because especially with San Diego spending so much money, I wouldn't be surprised if they would move Trent Grisham. I wouldn't be surprised. They have so much money, especially with Tatis. Like, if they're going to move Tatis to center field, like
they're going to move him to center field.
That's where they want to put him in center field. They're going fuck the defense. They're pulling the Phillies.
The Prel dog. They
don't care about defense. They want to just hit nukes. Respect.
Is that for real?
Yeah, that's where they want to put him in center.
Jesus Christ.
What do you got here? Sign Correa, move him to third. Yes. I mean, yes, but they're probably not going to do it. Okay. If Mets fans hate Phillies picks, I know. Okay. Is there a higher chance of the Mets signing Judge, Judy, or Aaron Judge, Judy? Definitely.
If Mets fans hate Phillies, I mean,
we just literally spent 10 minutes talking about we love Trey Turner and we thought it was awesome. But
Bryce is
the Cardinals have
too,
a bright future. So. They have pieces. I said they definitely a piece.
I will be making a video about this.
Yeah, you will have a
Easy,
short
so
out probably this sometime this week.
yeah, I'll be making a video about this.
So we'll talk
because I've
about
been seeing a
Cardinals
lot about it. So
yeah, one of
Mets
us
will
is
sign Arson Judge. Yeah,
Arson Judge. Yes.
yeah, that was trending on Twitter right after.
Yeah.
Ken Rosenthal just tweeted
Yeah.
out that the Cubs are making a push for right-handed free agent Jameson Taillon.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
they're looking for young guy. I mean, they're looking for guys with upside. Relatively young.
What would be the under the radar trade? Again, the trade market we kind of made it clear. I think the Brewers, maybe the lower echelon Brewers pitchers. I think Cleveland's always available. Maybe Minnesota's arms. If we're just talking strictly pitching, I don't really. There's not really besides like Brian Reynolds, and the Mets aren't in that conversation for like a Brian Reynolds. But I don't really. There's no other Sean Murphy. The Mets aren't in on. That's another big bat that could be traded. There really isn't a bat where like, oh man, do you think the Mets?
The big bat is the man in LA. Well, that's the big bat that you can trade for, but yeah, I don't see it happening.
That's not next year. Do you think the Mets load off McCann and reinforce the catching position with Sean Murphy? I fucking
hope so, man.
Or I hope Alvarez is just a catcher. And the fact that McCann actually is getting interest is that the Mets might actually be able to get a minor league arm out of this deal, potentially not have to buy him out, is amazing. But I don't think the Mets are going to Sean Murphy. I think they're just going to roll Nito. And
I will trade him for a player I don't like. Like, that's how much I want to get rid of that dude.
I will trade him for a Chick-fil-A gift card. Just take
anyone who is stupid enough to take the rest of the James McCann contract, you can have him for free. If you desperately need him because you need a catcher, he's all yours. Like, I will send him to you with a bow on it. Fuck off. Done. Didn't like it when they did it 2 years ago, and I still don't like it now. Get him out of here.
King-size Kit Kat's about right. What would you do if the Marlins win the World Series? I wouldn't be surprised every other NL East team's winning the World Series or getting to one, so I wouldn't be surprised. The Bryce was right.
Bryce is a good ass player, man. He is.
He's I can't say that on stream. If the Marlins win, I will run around naked. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised every other NL East team's going to the World Series. I honestly wouldn't be that shocked. McCann for a stale fruitcake for Christmas. Dude, James McCann literally is tartar sauce. Like, no one likes him. You only can use him in one situation, and it's not even that good. Fish isn't good. So he's just the definition of tartar sauce. Like, and the fact that the Rangers are interested, the Cardinals are. You've got.
I got more of expired cheese or expired milk or.
Yeah, Bryce is secretly my favorite player in baseball, but obviously Nemo's one, but Bryce probably number two.
Now one of your other favorite players are going to Philly too.
Yeah, another Trey Turner now in Philadelphia, man. Loves going to Philly. I would check in Arizona. Arizona, they won. Like, who are you talking about in Arizona? Because I don't think they're not moving Carroll. They're not going to move. Who's the other one?
I want Varsho so much.
I love Dalton.
So bad.
I was saying that in May that I would love Dalton Varsho, but McCann is skim milk. I'm not gonna let a gift card, dude. Exactly, a Chick-fil-A gift card, bro. Come on. But the fact that there are two teams already interested and have showed interest in him. Hell, if we could flip Mitch Garver for James McCann, I'll make that trade in a goddamn heartbeat. Please, you want him? Take him. Like,
I'll take Roberto Perez.
He's a free agent,
I'll take Jason Castro, who's retired now. I don't care. I legitimately don't care.
Do you think Bass? Again, any pitcher now is a 4-year deal, so I think Bassett probably ages the best because he doesn't need the velocity. He throws junk and he gets away with throwing junk. So I don't think there's a big fear with Bassett, and he's usually healthy unless he takes a ball off his face. But he could be a guy you can give a 4-year deal and feel confident he's going to be the same type of pitcher because he doesn't throw. He doesn't need 95 velocity.
You could see an extended version of the Stroman deal for Bassett, like 5 years.
Yeah. Throw a combination.
5 years, 100, like something like that. I mean,
would you take Kershaw? Dude,
I don't think the last 2 years. I don't think the last two games that Bassett threw, obviously there were huge ones. Those last two games, I don't think that defines him as a pitcher. He's a great high leverage pitcher. He just didn't have it. I mean, those middle of the rotation guys, they have their tough starts. It happens. It came in the wrong place, but let's not act like the rest of the rotation was complete gold towards the end of that last week of the season. But no, I've been a big fan of Bassett for a long time. Obviously, my dad's a big A's fan, so a lot of these A's players I kind of watch on the side. Big fan of Mark Canha and everything like that. So, I would love to get Sean Murphy to replace James McCann, but load it with Oakland A's. But the next Oakland A we're going after is Andrew Chafin. So that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay. I guess this is kind of involved with the A's. What about if the Mets trade for Ramon Laureano for center field? That was a name I was thinking in my head. Like
that's another bet. That is another bet. It's a big gamble. It is.
Is he better than Kevin Kiermaier? Yes. That's my bar. It's better than Kevin Kiermaier. I cannot deal with Kevin Kiermaier being the center fielder.
Jameson Taijuan maybe going to the Cubs.
I will go be a Phillies fan. If they lose my guy and replace him with Kevin Kiermaier, all my guys are in Philly anyway. But Rondon, I think we saw Rondon trending a little bit.
Rodon?
Rodon. No, they're saying that there's Philly link.
Rodon?
I think he's a Yankee. Especially if Judge goes to the Giants, I wouldn't be surprised if Rodon signs with the Yankees. I wouldn't be surprised.
If Judge is gone,
Judge is gone, that money's got to go somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose out on Judge. They just super rotation.
If they lose out on Judge,
I could see them signing Correa. I could see them going nuts in a shortstop. I could see them jumping at a shortstop if Judge is
sign. I think they're gonna really pursue after our guy if they lose Judge.
Throw a gift card.
I'll tell you right now, that's.
Oh,
Yankees are out of their minds.
Well,
it's Judge's decision. That's the thing. The Yankees obviously want him back, but if Judge wants to go home to San Francisco, that's his decision.
I mean, hell, even look at the Phillies. Trey had a bigger deal with San Diego, but he chose to come east. Like, they can do that. Like,
loyalty doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So it's just, when James McCann left Chicago,
shut up.
You knew that loyalty was just going to falter through the cracks.
And Lucas Giolito has not been the same since James McCann left.
Yeah, exactly. So
Giolito to the Mets confirmed?
Yeah, the Yankees are just not they're still a big spending team, but they have competition now. Whether it's us or the Dodgers or the Padres or other teams, they're not the big spending. We get everything we want now. Sometimes they have to improvise now. Their biggest signing so far is Brian Cashman, and I'm really happy for them.
It's fine. Tweeted out the Cubs are closing in on a deal for Jameson Taijuan. 4 minutes ago. So.
Well, at least we got the short out, so that's.
We got the short out. Now we Cub. I will, if we are still alive and the actual contract details come out, I'll let you know. But of course, this happens right after I end the stream. Sorry, War Dog. Sorry, we're still alive, War Dog. Want to hop on? Somebody tweet at War Dog. See if he wants to come on. Kidding.
Yeah, tweet it. Tyler. See if he's open. He's open for it.
Is there a funny picture on that way? What is it close to that? Yeah. That's what Mark Feinstein just put out. So that deal looks like to be getting
at
done.
This hour. They're trying to finalize a deal.
Yep. So now cross off Jameson Taijuan. Does this mean Senga's a Met?
Does this mean that Bassett's a Met?
No. Who's a sneaky team to get Bassett? The Orioles.
They did just get Kyle Gibson, right?
That's not their front line.
They
do have Grayson Rodriguez.
I'm trying to. They got another pitcher.
They did get Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson, and they got somebody else. Who'd they get?
I don't know. I know they got Gibson. I'm not really paying attention to the Baltimore media, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bassett goes to Baltimore or hell, even Boston. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the AL East. That's my guess.
Or maybe the Padres just overspend for more pitching.
You know, and who also kind of needs a starting pitcher is the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals have needed pitching for a while.
They need something. I mean, that would be, and he's a Missouri, not a Missouri guy, but he's thinking somewhere in the Midwest.
Kyle Gibson sucks ass. Maybe. It's possible. For those of you in the stream right now, leave a like on the stream. We got about like 60, 65 people in here, and we got 20 likes. So let's bring that up a little bit.
And maybe we'll do another one of these on Thursday, because I would do it tomorrow, but unless Metsfan can do it by himself. But I'll probably do another one on Thursday.
We can recap the winter meetings or something like that. If you guys really enjoyed coming in here and chatting,
in here, subscribe. We'll like entertaining, You guys seem cool, so subscribe. Be around. Subscribe to my channel. It's also linked in the description. But enjoy it.
Is Dick Mountain still available?
Yes, he is.
He is still available, but
I would not be putting him on the top of my priority.
No Thor return. Yeah, let's move on from that.
No Thor.
I've had enough of that.
What if
is it impossible to get Rodon now?
It's not impossible. It's just not likely.
We had Marino.
It was one or the other.
Marino said something about how they're not completely out of Carlos Rodon, but it's not. Yeah, I don't think that happening.
Do you look at, if you're Cohen right now and you see what the rotation, the mid-market guys at $18 million a year, $20 million, why not just pay the extra 10 and get in the 30s for Rodon? The term is going to be a problem. Even the term you're seeing 4 years, it's going to be 4 years anyway.
Could that mean bye-bye Nimmo, though?
That's the other thing. It depends. Do you want to have... Because
they're going to go full-on top-heavy rotation. That's going to mean that they're going to be relying on David Peterson and Tyler McGill to both stay healthy and be good. So... and then Carlos Carrasco.
Carrasco, that's it. I'll forget Carrasco. Don't forget the cookies. It's something. I mean, it's an actual thought. If you're Cohen, you pay $20 million for Kodai Senga, or you pay who's never pitched in the big leagues, or do you go like $32 million for Carlos Rodon, who I think is going to be Zach Wheeler 2.0, where he's just hitting the best part of his career now and going forward. Yes, it's probably longer term.
I wouldn't say Thor needs to retire. He's 29?
Yeah, he's still young, right?
He's still young. It's just like it's going to take a while to get back to what he was if he does.
And he's never getting back.
And I don't think he's going to get back to that because it's kind of hard with these more throwers than pitchers. You can gain your velocity back, but you can't be as effective as you once were. As a Philly fan, just curious, has Lindor lived up to the expectations for Mets fans? I think the number being attached to Lindor, the $341 million, I don't think he'll ever full-on live up to that and be a top 3 MVP every single year. This year, he was great. He was great. He was a huge contributor. He was the big contributor that we expected him to be. This year, what was it? 7-win player. I mean, he really showed his value. A 7-win player, that's, a 50 million type season, right? Especially at his position, that's even higher. So the back end of the contract, who knows at this point? But from what we saw compared to his first year here, and he took a lot of shit for it. He definitely did. But he definitely gave us something to cheer for this year. He definitely did. And that was probably the best you were going to get from him. As an all-around player, he's an MVP caliber player. Hitter, no. He's not an MVP caliber hitter. But overall, he's definitely an MVP caliber player. And I think that's what he's going to be throughout the prime of his career because he's going on... Is this a age 29 season or is it going to be age 30 season? Age 29. So he's got... I'd say he's got 5 or 6 good years left. And then the back end of that, obviously. We signed him when he was 26.
Listen, hold up.
What? John...
Lindor
was it 26 or 27?
He's currently 20, he's 29 years old right now. So,
yeah.
I think I've made it. Well, I made it clear when he signed him. If they win a World Series, the contract's worth it. It's kind of like
Yeah,
with
of
Bryce.
course.
You win a
Of
World
course.
Series, the contract's worth it. I think that's my yes.
Yeah, of course.
You love and accolades of like, oh, would you love him to hit 35 homers, driving 100? Yeah. If he's a
27.
part of a
Yeah.
winning culture that gets this team a championship, the deal's worth it.
Excuse me, a winning culture. Excuse me now. Ali Perez
Hey.
available? Maybe.
Hey,
Is he playing overseas?
He's
He's
still
playing overseas, right?
I think he's playing in Mexico.
He's still around.
He's still just.
He's not going to
a
get the contract he got initially with the Mets.
Yeah,
so
lefties can
if
play
they were to
forever.
bring him back.
Hell, he's better than David Peterson. Will the Phillies be back in the World Series with this current lineup? They'll be fighting for it. They'll be a playoff team. Playoffs are a crapshoot. You can say like this: the Phillies could be the 2015 Mets. You get a miracle playoff World Series run and never get back.
Everyone gets hurt, and everyone just
Yeah, there's a distinct possibility that this is a one and done. But are you a good team? Are you still a playoff team? Yeah. Anyone gets
in. Of course. Now there's
Keep getting
expectation. There's higher expectation now.
Well, Bryce is underpaid. Bryce was got because Bryce took a cheaper deal. Like he took the 13 years, so he took $27 million a year.
He wanted a long-term contract, and he deserved a long-term contract.
And didn't he say when he signed? Like he didn't sign. He could have got higher AAV, but he wanted people to be built around him. And why he has the team he has now. So it gives him the ability to build the team. Like Lindor was trying to set the Tatis, and it was horrible timing for the Mets. Tatis signed that deal right when Lindor's a free agent, right when they traded him. When you wanted the extension, you had to top the Tatis number. You could have went longer. You could have went with Harper route and given him 13 years. But do you want pay a guy 13 years at lower AAV for the now? But down the line, are you looking at another Robinson Cano contract?
Harper came in at age 19, so
and he was signing his.
He
deal
was a 25-year-old free agent. So
first year was 26. Yeah.
Obviously, he was going to get one of those long-term contracts. Same with Manny Machado as well. He came in at what age? 20.
Both were 20. He was 20, but both hit the market at age 26.
Yeah. So that was definitely one of the start market setters. I'd say that class was definitely a pivotal point in the market, obviously with Machado and Harper getting paid, and then it just kept escalating. No, he's a hell of a player. He really is. I don't know how he did so well with that UCL problem all year, but Alonso 2025, I think. Yeah, he's when Alonso's going to be 29 as a free agent, right? 29 as a free agent. 30, 29.
He'll be 30.
30. So
yeah,
maybe a Austin Riley type of contract could get done, but I doubt it at this point.
Where
does Dansby go? Well, the market right now is Braves, Cardinals, Cubs. That was the last thing that I saw.
I'm gonna say St. Louis.
St. Louis?
I know they're messing around with Wilson Contreras. Even Mozeliak was like, "We have Tommy Edman. You cannot roll Tommy Edman at shortstop. Leave him at second. Like, just stop. Actually, pony up some money and go and trade for James McCann. Don't get Wilson Contreras behind the plate.
The contract that Arenado has is a bargain at this point for whatever they want to bring in beside him. So he'll be really good for the Cardinals.
Their guys are locked up, kind of like the Braves. They have their corners locked up. Just Tommy Edman is Tommy Edman. He's great defensively. He doesn't hit a lick. He's an average hitter. And, you put him at second base. That's more valuable at second base than it is at shortstop, especially, again, seeing the other shortstops around the league. Like,
if Dansby can leave the NL East, I would be fine with it.
But why do I have a feeling that Correa would just go fill in? As much as they probably want Vaughn Gresham, they're saying that Vaughn Gresham's going to fill in as short. Why do I have the feeling if Swanson leaves, they're going to sign Correa?
Yeah, they're going to do something. But they've been too quiet.
Same with the Dodgers. Dodgers haven't done anyone.
Dodgers and Braves have been too quiet.
Hell, even San Diego, but they signed their relievers. But San Diego's going to go. They're already in. They're in on Bogarts. They were in on Turner. Like, I mean, hell, they need a replacement for Machado when he leaves for the Mets next year.
Preller star hunting once again.
Star hunting. The Rockies are relevant, dude. The Rockies aren't even a franchise.
Rockies aren't real. They're a hologram.
They're just a ballpark at this point.
Poor
Zach Veen.
Chris Bryant.
Zach Veen.
How that career just took a turn. That sucks.
Hey, he got paid. He wanted the bag. He got the bag.
He did get paid. He's gonna be rotten there.
So, you think you want to end this off? Let's chat. We'll give you maybe 5 minutes, and then you guys have any last minute questions? Because it's getting close to bedtime, midnight Eastern time. It's 11:00 here. Any other last minute questions, and then we'll hop off. And if you guys are here tonight, we'll be back Thursday night. So come on, hang out. Phillies sign Carlos Rodon, or Mets sign Senga, or whatever. Sure to come back. Ohtani. We'll talk. The Broncos suck. All of Denver sucks. They're just all terrible, sadly. But yeah. So we'll give you guys another minute or two, and then we'll get some Mets fan. Any final thoughts? Appreciate it, bro.
Taijuan Walker will be desperately missed. It's a shame. Prediction for tomorrow. I think Judge signs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Correa signs.
Correa will be probably Christmas time.
I don't think Rodon signs or Nimmo. Yeah, I think Judge will probably be your headline move tomorrow. I think he's getting close to his decision. There were expectation. I saw a lot of Yankee reporters talking about how he will make his decision on Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so that's definitely possible. Maybe we'll get an update on the Kodai Senga deal. I also want to, hopefully we get an update on Nimmo. I want to, but as we saw a report that the Mets will not be meeting with him during the winter meetings, even though he is there. I don't know.
Room 412 if anybody's in San Diego. Am I kidding? Am I not? I don't know. Beautiful view from his hotel, by the way, if you saw it on his Instagram. But yeah, a prediction for me, Swanson. I think Swanson's the Cub by tomorrow. And obviously Judge. And I do think one of these relievers fall off the board, either Ottavino, Chafin, Kenley, Chapman. I think definitely you should start seeing the reliever market move off.
Trevor Williams signed yet? No, he has not signed yet. I'd love for it to be with the Mets, but they're probably going to have to overpay for that. I have a weird feeling Nimmo will be with Seattle. They have a lot of outfielders.
If they don't trade for Brian Reynolds, and I think they're trying to trade for Brian Reynolds, so it's an option. Conforto as well. So with all that being said, you think we're done? Thank you for all the Phillies fans that popped up. Remember this day that we warned you, but good luck in the first half. Both you're a playoff team either way. And see you guys on Thursday. Maybe tomorrow night late, maybe, depending if something big breaks. Maybe we'll be live late. But
all right. Well, final words for this, guys. If you haven't already, like the stream, greatly appreciated. It's free. Subscribe as well. That's free as well. Make sure to tune in on Sunday if you're a Mets fan for the first episode of the Mets Weekly Podcast with all four of us. Me, this guy to my right or my left, I don't even know. And then, of course, Frank About Sports and TonyMetro as well, breaking down all of the Mets Weekly news, rumors, and all that types of fun stuff. And you can also listen to it on 8 different platforms. So tomorrow, there might be another short or there might be another piece of content. I'm not really sure. Haven't really figured that out yet. Might record some stuff. But other than that, Taijuan Walker, so long. It wasn't fun. And let's go Mets for the Mets fans in here. And Phillies, you got a gem. Hold on to him with all your might. We'll see you guys.